Hello and welcome to Engineering 101 at the University of Michigan. This course, Introduction to Computers and Programming, is a gateway to the College of Engineering and the wide world of engineering as a whole. My name is Michael Benson, and I am a graduate student instructor, or GSI, think TA, for this course. This is the pre-class checklist. Part 1. Do you have access to your CANE account? CANE, or the Computer Aided Engineering Network, is a department within the college that provides computers, software, and a variety of other things to the college in labs and other. They also provide technical support to the CANE hotline. We're going to be using CANE machines in our labs, and you'll likely want to use them for your homeworks and projects in this course and beyond. As such, it's imperative that you have access. So, the first thing we need you to do is please visit a CANE lab. There are CANE labs across the university, in at least one in every engineering building, and many residence halls have them as well. You can search in your favorite web browser for CANE lab, UMich, and you'll find a listing. Please go and try to log in to the Windows environment. If you can't log in other words, you see an error message of some sort, that's okay. This happens to a number of people, and that's why we're actually asking you to do this before class starts, so we can help get you up and running in time. Please send an email from your school email account. In other words, if your email address is student@umich.edu, send it from that, to the CANE help desk, CANE@umich.edu, as soon as possible. Tell the CANE help desk that you're enrolled in Engineering 101 this fall, and that you're going to need access to both the CANE Windows and Linux environments. For those that have never used Linux before, don't worry. We're going to show you how. For those that are used to using Mac and/or Windows, don't worry. You'll have a chance to use your preferred operating system. But for a lot of what we're going to do in the class, we will be using Linux and a bit of Windows too. So again, be sure to send your email from your student email account. That's your umich.edu email address. That'll help expedite the process. Once you've done that, you have the option of installing MATLAB on your computer. For the first half of this term, we're going to be using MATLAB, or Matrix Lab. MATLAB is produced by a company called MathWorks, and generally costs a good amount of money to use. However, the College of Engineering and the University of Michigan have worked out an agreement with MathWorks such that students can access MATLAB for free. That's right, free. So, if you have a personal computer and you'd like to install MATLAB so you can work on assignments from this course in the privacy of your own room, or really wherever you put your computer, you can do so. Please visit the link at the bottom of this slide, as well as the same link is in the pre-class checklist document, and follow the instructions there, and you'll be able to install MATLAB. That's part 2. See? Pretty painless, I hope. Part 3. We're going to hit the ground running with MATLAB, so it's now my privilege to give you a 10,000-foot overview of MATLAB and an introduction. MATLAB comes with an integrated development environment, which means that we can interact with the code that we write. If you've never coded before or done anything like this, don't worry. We assume that we're going to work from the ground up, and we'll help you become a coder, at least for this course. If you have programmed before, don't worry. While we will be starting from the ground up, we will have some additional things for you to look at, which will challenge you as well. Again, this is an introduction to computers and programming, and we want this to be fun and enjoyable. These are tools that make your life easier, and we look forward to showing you that. So now it's time to give you a demo. This is MATLAB. I've installed it on my own machine and I've started it up. If your version of MATLAB doesn't look like this, that's okay. There's going to be a ribbon up here with a few different tabs. This might be compressed and look like this. That's okay. You can click and hold if you have this here. If you don't have it, rather, you can double click or click and hold, and you get the ribbon back. To make it stick, double click. Now, to make your window look like mine, click on Layout under the Home tab and select Default. I'm going to make this a bit larger. You can see that this window has three components. The command window here, a current folder, and workspace. In addition, above that, we have this file path. I'm using a Mac, and you can see that I'm currently set to work on my desktop in an Engineering 101 folder, which is right here. Now, MATLAB, I said, is an integrated development environment, and we'll get to that momentarily. The command window, first, is very interactive. We can use it like a calculator as well as so much more. So, if I want to say, find out what 5 times 6 is, I can literally just type in 5 times 6, and if I press enter, it's going to tell me the answer is 30, right here. Pretty cool. In addition, you'll notice there's another change. Down here in the workspace, we now have something under the name column called ants with a value of 30. Ants is a variable, and we'll be covering variables shortly, but just like in algebra, a variable holds a piece of information, right? So in algebra, if you had y equals 3 plus 5 minus 1, you would say, okay, I can solve for y. This is a very easy equation, right? 3 plus 5 is 8, minus 1 is 7. Well, here, I can create a variable, y, and assign it the value of 7 just by hitting enter. You can see y equals 7, and then down here, we have a new variable, y, with a value of 7. We'll get to a whole lot more about variables and their importance in programming and scripting shortly. But for this overview, all you need to know is you can type stuff into the command window, 5600.23 divided by 4. And now it's giving me a response in scientific notation, right? E plus something. So this means 1.4 times 10 to the 5th power. Or 1.4 times 10 to the 5th. Another way to represent the same thing. So I mentioned MATLAB is interactive in this development environment. So what I'm going to do, we might not always want to use the command window. I can go ahead and click up here on New Script. Now, my editor has appeared inside my window. Yours may or may not. If yours appears outside as a new window, like this, that's okay. If you'd like, I would encourage you to click on this down arrow right here and scroll down to Dock Editor. Click on that, the editor appears here. So now we have access to my editor, the command window down here, as well as our current folder and workspace. In this editor, I can type things. So for example, y equals 5. And if I press enter, we see there are line numbers right here, which is quite nice. But also, this equal sign is being underlined with an weird orange. If I mouse over this, I'll see that MATLAB is suggesting that I terminate the statement with a semicolon to suppress output. I can get details, and I can have it fix it for me. So this means that I've typed some code, MATLAB has looked at it, and it's providing instantaneous feedback. If I do as it asks and add a semicolon, and we'll see why in a moment, the underline goes away. In our command window, let's go ahead and try this. If I say x equals 5, it tells me x equals 5. And we can see over here in the workspace, we have a new variable x equal to 5. Well, if I say x equals 4, semicolon, let's see what happens. You'll note that there's nothing here. MATLAB doesn't come back and say x equals 4. However, over here in the workspace, x has a value of 4. So, in other words, the semicolon says don't report back what you've done, but still do what I tell you to do. So here, in our editor, we're saying set y equal to 5. My first name is Michael, so I'm going to make a new variable called Michael and set that equal to 10. Oh, I forgot the semicolon. Better do that. Now, I want to know what y times Michael is, or 5 times 10. I could simply go down here to the command window and say 5 times 10. What do you know? It's 50. But I could say y times Michael. And now here, again, the star is glowing, saying, okay, there's a problem. We can mouse over and semicolon error. But I don't want to right now. I want it to actually give me a result. So I'm going to click on Save, and save this as mywork.m, .m for MATLAB. And we can see now here, instead of saying untitled, the file name is called mywork.m. And here in the current folder, there's a file called mywork.m. I'll verify this by opening the folder. Lo and behold, mywork.m. So now, this script means I can execute these 3 lines one after another without having to type them in repeatedly. So if I go up here and click Run, you can see down here in the command window, so MATLAB typed in my work, the name of my script, and now the only answer I'm getting is this last one where I don't have a semicolon. But we can see my work is equal to 50. In some sense, but not really. If I want to actually assign this to a variable, ABCD equals this, I can add a semicolon or not, it doesn't matter. If I click Run, we see my work gets typed in again. We end with ABCD equals 50. If I don't want that to happen, I can add a semicolon right here, and this underline goes away. Now the other way I can run this is by typing my work and pressing enter in the command line. But before I do, you can see because I added the semicolon here, there's a star now next to the m in mywork.m. This tells me that there's a change to my file that hasn't been saved. So I need to save this to get rid of the star. Now, down here in the command window, if I type my work and press enter, it runs, and y is set to be 5, Michael is set to be 10, ABCD is set to be y times Michael. Now, in our workspace, all of those variables already were set to those values. We don't see a change, but trust me, they were. Feel free to try to change a value, right? Set y equal to -4. And now, if we try my work, you can see over here, y is set back to 5. Why is that? Because we're telling it to do that right here. MATLAB is capable of a whole lot more. It can plot, it can solve, and you can actually use something called logic to have it make decisions. In other words, if x is greater than 0, do something, but if x otherwise, do something else. You can also use something called iteration to make MATLAB do something over and over again. In other words, divide this number in half 1,000,000 times and then tell me what you get. That's doable as well. The last thing I'm going to show you before we finish for today is an example of one more script actually being useful. So I'm going to delete these. And now let's say I have 3 variables. A equal to 4, B equal to 100, and C equal to 3. Now, this might look familiar to you, and we'll explain what it is momentarily, but let's say I want to say -b plus, SQRT stands for square root, plus or minus, plus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c. I can use parentheses here if I want to, divided by 2 times a. Right, so here, this is an equation. Problem is, this actually isn't correct, because here this division is only happening to what's under the square root. and I want the negative b to be divided as well. I'm going to add parentheses, just like in math. So now I have negative b, in this case, plus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2a. Let's say x1 is that. I can now say x2 is equal to negative b minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c divided by 2 times a. So now if we look over here in the workspace, I'm going to save this first, and I'm going to type my work and run it. We're going to solve this quadratic equation, right? So for something in the format of a times x squared plus b times x plus c equals to 0. We're going to solve this equation for x using MATLAB. So I've typed in my values for a, b, and c. I'll use run. And now all of a sudden down here we have x1, the first solution, x is equal to negative 0.03. And our second solution, x2, is equal to negative 24.97. Finally, let me show you a fun little plot. We'll say plot 1 to 50, 51 to 100, and press enter. And lo and behold, a new window pops up. We can see on my x-axis, I have the numbers 1 to 50, and on the y-axis, the numbers 50 to 100. Now, this is getting into some more advanced stuff, so don't worry about this just yet, just showing that you can plot, you can write scripts, there'll be functions, which we'll talk about later, variables, control, iteration. I know some of these words might seem odd or foreign, but don't worry, we'll take you through everything step by step, and you'll be scripting in MATLAB in no time. Thank you for watching this video. Look forward to meeting you over the course of the semester. Again, my name is Michael Benson, and this video was designed for the use in Engineering 101 at the University of Michigan.